Hello, Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics here. I'm at Boxland Studios, Boxland Media Studios. You can see that in Columbus, Ohio. Shout out to my friend Ben Niedenthal for letting me come in here and kind of crash his spot. But this is going to be the very first time I've ever done a live Q&A on Instagram here. So I'm going to give it just a couple minutes to see if anybody else pops in. But we've definitely had a couple of people that we've sent some invites to. I see David's here. What's up, David? How you doing, man? Much love, much love. I want to give everyone just a chance to kind of tune in for a little bit, and we're going to set this up and let people ask questions. I actually got at least one question that was sent to my Instagram earlier by my buddy Charles, and it was a great question, so I can't wait to jump into that. Like I said, we're just going to give it a couple minutes, but I'm hoping everyone's had like a good day so far. My days started off pretty nice. I actually saw a sneak screening of Eternals. No spoilers though, so don't ask me questions about that because that's not right. I don't want to give that stuff away. But it started off like really well. This week has actually been a really fun week per this project of 30 days of engagement, and it's been eye-opening. Like, I've really learned a lot in just 3 days. So if you are a creative of any sort and you're trying to expand your growth or tap into any sort of understanding of what your audience is like, I implore you to try something like this, because I think it'll be a really good time for you to actually kind of gauge how are you interacting with your audience? Do you have a good relationship with them? Are they following the things that you do? So I appreciate everyone that's already, taken part in my, initial 2 days, and thoroughly appreciate everyone that's here for day number 3. So again, we're going to give it just a couple more minutes. I'm probably going to get started at 1:05 on actually answering some questions. But in the meantime, in between time, feel free to throw some questions in here. If you've got one, I'm all for the answering, because that's what it's all about. So big shout out to everyone that's tuned in right now. And yeah. How is everyone's day though? Like, hit me up with that. Like, have you guys been having a good one? It's a good Wednesday for you? I'm hoping so. Definitely hoping so. It's New Comic Book Day, which, obviously in my geek-filled world is everything. Last night we recorded the newest episode of Black, White, and Red All Over. If you guys go to comictown.tv on YouTube, that's up there. And you should definitely be checking out that every week, because we're giving you all the goodness on things that you can read. No spoilers, though, because we want you to read it. But big shout out to Comic Town and Ryan, my co-host for the show. He's my buddy, and I love it. But yeah, we've got some amazing books that we read this week. Is actually all number ones, which is kind of crazy. You don't normally have that, but it was a great moment of comics and some fantastic ones. So please check out comictown.tv on YouTube. Subscribe if you want to get some of that goodness, every week, because every week we're reviewing new books, and that's absolutely the magic. Comic Town is a local shop, is my personal local shop that I go to. We have a ton of amazing comic shops here in Columbus, Ohio. I think we have like 5 or 6, maybe even 7 actual comic shops that are insanely dope, and it's really, really cool. Wait, let's see. I've got one that says, probably don't remember. Are you serious? What grade are you in now? Like, you said 6th grade. Like, this is gonna make me feel really old. Like, are you still in the middle school range? Are you much older? How old is this about to make me feel right now? I'm really, really curious. You're gonna say something like, and I'm like 30 now, and I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna instantly grow a beard. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be super crazy. All right, well, we'll keep it going while I wait for you to. You're in 12th? Oh my God, that does make me feel old. That makes me feel so old. But I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you had a great time with comics and stuff. Are you still like engaging with comics? Are you making art? Are you doing cool things? Like, I hope so, because that's the best compliment ever if you are. And if you're not, maybe we can get you back into it. That's really what it's all about. Feel free to ask any questions about how to get back into it, because for those of you that don't know, the best 3 questions are definitely going to get a free comics digital bundle from me You're doing music. Oh, drop a link. Let me hear it because I need sounds to keep me inspired. So please, 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 like share your talents, share your music because I wanna share that. Definitely check out the music that's gonna get dropped in here because that's super dope. But okay, let's talk it out. Let's talk about it. So my friend Charles asked for his question. We'll start off with that one, just to make sure I don't forget. He asked. He's in the process of writing a story, and he said he's got some character stuff. He's got some background story set up, but he wants to know where to go next. And I think that's a brilliant question because so many people have this idea of they want to tell stories, they want to write something, and they don't necessarily know how. And here's the thing that I think is really important, particularly for first time writers, right? So first time writers, what I want you to think about is what exactly is the story that you're aiming to tell. There might not be the whole story that there is, but you really have to lock down what it is that you're trying to tell. And that's really kind of setting up or having an understanding of what your beginning, middle, and end are going to be. So, for Charles, if he's got his characters already set up and he knows his backstory, he's really just got to pinpoint exactly what aspect of that story does he want to tell right now. Is it about the past? Is it about the present? Is it something in the future? As much as he can figure that out right away, the easier it will be to really kind of pin down exactly what work he has to put in next. And, it's really that simple, which I know kind of sounds complicated, but at the same time, it's really not. Like, you just know where you are in the storytelling process that you really want to get into. And I think that works really, really well. Oh, you've got a story you've been writing notes on and would love to make it in print. Same thing, like literally the same thing, because again, there's a lot of times when we get bogged down by the backstory. I know when I was first starting out with writing, backstory just crushed me because I always thought I had to go to the very beginning in order for any story to really, make sense. But that's not really true. If you read the Lord of the Rings, right? Lord of the Rings has a ton of stuff that actually happens before. The Hobbit happens before Lord of the Rings. But if I'm not mistaken, The Hobbit as a book series came out after Lord of the Rings did. So you can see how Tolkien was a genius by saying, this is the story that I want to tell. Even though I understand that there's history and backstory that happened long beforehand, we're going to get to it eventually. But this is the story that I really want to tell. So that's the way it kind of works out. Elliot, what's good, my man? Absolutely, ecstatic to have you here with us right now. Just answering questions. So if you got something, throw it out there. Shout out to Elliot. He's a content creator. Follow him on YouTube, or not YouTube. Oh no, you do have a YouTube channel, but you're definitely on TikTok as well. But he's a dope guy. Great interviewer. He's super sweet. So definitely follow him. Elliot Ambient Drive is his contact on here. He's super dope. But yeah, hopefully that answers that question of, how do you take the next step? Pick the story, right? The beginning, middle, and end piece that you really want to tell. Don't worry about if there's, story before or even story after. Look at Star Wars. Star Wars, came in at a certain point. There's plenty of stuff before and some stuff after. So, you pick the story that you want to tell, map out the beginning, middle, and end, and start to tell that story. In fact, I would almost say pick the story you want to tell, figure out the ending so you know where you're going, and then, figure out the road to get there. And ta-da, there you go. You have told a story. You've written your piece and you've taken the next step. So again, hopefully that answers the question. It was a great one. Shout out, to everybody that actually applies to. I hope everyone that's tuned in here is in a place where they want to, answer that. David wants to know, did Eternals suck? I told you I'm not answering that question, David. Yes, I've seen Eternals. No, I'm not going to tell you if it sucked or not. I want to save something for the weekend for you guys. I just absolutely, want you guys to go see it for yourself if you want to, and I don't want to sway you one way or the other. But if you have seen it, if you've seen it and you message me, we can chat. I'll we'll talk about it, and I'll tell you my thoughts, but only after you've seen it, because I think that's fair. But yeah, that's a really good one. Again, I love this studio space. Like, Boxland is so dope. Another, crazy, amazing location here in Columbus, Ohio. We really are a big little city, have so much space and things going on, and people don't even know how amazing we are. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. But again, So we've got time. I'd say I'd run this for at least another 10-15 minutes. See if you guys have any other questions. I'm looking for at least 2 more questions so that I can give away those bundles, because I've got some digital comics that I want to share with everyone, and I need questions in order for me to answer them. So what do you guys got? Q&A time. What you got? What you got? I'm gonna end up like my brother Ren and start singing at you. I won't do that. I'm nicer than that. I won't do that to you. That's too mean. Allison, I miss you back. I miss you back. Yes. Thank you. I'm very excited about the invitation. For anyone that doesn't know, I recently received an offer to join the board of trustees at the Thurber House, which I'm absolutely taking. I'm super excited for it, and can't wait for that to play out. Is there a network of creators that a beginner could pitch their stories to? So that is a fantastic question, and the truth is not a specific one. In truth, if you find any sort of group on Facebook or anything like that, you very well could potentially pitch a story, or at least start talking to people, in order to kind of get some feelers out for, how you're progressing, or to establish some relationships. It's kind of funny, like in so many different, places and spaces, we are unified but separated, right? So it really depends on what kind of comics or content you're trying to make. And hopefully, those people that are already in that space creating are receptive to new voices. There is an aspect of gatekeeping that can happen, which is always the pits. It always is discouraging, and I hate it. But if you can find, like-minded creators, then that's always kind of like a good, starting point, right? Depending on, what you're creating, and I'll make this general. I mean, as much as I love comics, it can work in any case. If you have a local retail establishment that specializes in the thing that you're making, right? It might be easier to go to a retail establishment and ask them who are the, creators in your area that you might not even know. And that's a good way to not only kind of get like a cosign for your interests, but to, meet those people that are in your area that you can, confer with, collab with, and build, that sense of community. Because I can tell you from my own experience, having that sense of community is huge. Like having those people that you can kind of bounce ideas off of and get critiques from, honest and constructive critiques are everything. I think that's super duper dope. Let's see, developed a guild-like story. Oh, that's fun. That's a unique range of story beats right there. I definitely dig that. Are you wanting it to be as a comic book, as a novelization with prose? Where do you want it to go? How do you want that story to play out? Is it a play? Is it a, audio retelling, podcast even? What do you plan for that? There's a lot of cool that you can do with that. I know I just asked like a ton of questions super quick. Are you ready for Comic-Con Thanksgiving? You know what, David? I was just talking about how I was going to go to San Diego over Thanksgiving. And the issue that I have, honestly, is the flights home have been like crazy expensive. Like $500 just for the flight home. And that's just too much right before Christmas, in my opinion. But we'll see. Like, I did say that I wasn't going to go, but things can happen that I might end up being there, and who knows. So let me get back to this question. I think comic-based novel would be ideal. Visual would help with story. Oh, yeah. That's really dope. To think in a hybrid fashion is really cool, because you don't see it that often, which I think is kind of a misstep for a lot of people, but it creates opportunities for new voices to come in and do something unique and different. I actually just got put on, shout out to Jersey Droz, fantastic creator. He just told me about a book series called Superheroes, that are anthropomorphic animals in, the place of like superhero analogs. And I actually just ordered a copy from Amazon like last week. I haven't, read it yet, but they do like an amazing sort of mix of prose storytelling and comic pages, which is really cool. It's like the next level from like Captain Underpants. And I'm not saying that to like demean it. Like, I really think that Captain Underpants was a genius move. Shout out to Dave Pilkey for having prose stories, but then having comic based, almost animation based, interactive pieces that characters could do. I'm thinking of the Flipperama vision, which is just hilarious and ingenious all at once. So if you do something like that, I think that's a great way to create your story in a fantastic, unique showcase. Ain't that Captain Carrot and Amazing Zoo Crew? It's similar, but I think that they took like a totally different like animal basis for these characters, so that way they didn't get sued. But it looked cool. Like Jersey was showing it to me on a Zoom call, and I really dug it and had to order it because it was that cool looking. But yeah, I think that's a very cool option to bridge those two, to make it both comic and prose, just to kind of maximize your storytelling output. I think that's kind of amazing. So yeah, any other questions? We need one more. And if you don't mind, if I've answered your question, shoot me a DM so I'll have an email that I can send this digital comics bundle to, because I want to make sure that you get some cool books for me to read as a thank you for taking part in this piece. It's I appreciate you. Love you back, yo. Okay, so Sean's asking a quick question. What is the most important responsibility of an issue 1 for an indie creator? Yo, first and foremost, if you guys aren't hip to Comics Pals podcast, get on that ASAP. Like, do that not now, but right now. I mean, not right now, but after the live is done. This is a great question, and it kind of feeds into some of the stuff that we were saying before in terms of having an understanding of the full range of story, but then really kind of hitting at what is needed for issue 1. Issue 1's main purpose is to set a foundation, but also create intrigue, right? That is the key. I like what David's saying, is like to get you to buy issue 2. And to a degree, you're absolutely right. And issue 1 is notable in our industry. They almost have like a lauded place that I don't want to say is unearned, but a number 1 issue is always going to be considered more valuable just because it has a number 1 on it. In terms of it being effective, though, it has to set a solid stage for what your story is going to be. So I would say definitely set up, if not the particular main characters, protagonists or antagonists, it's got to set up the stakes of what the story is going to be about, and it's got to end at a place where you are absolutely 100% invested to have to go to issue 2. If you don't leave them in a place where they want issue 2, your book really kind of fails. It doesn't even matter how much you explain or how much you set up. If they're not really interested in number 2, then it's really a fail. And this really impacts indie creators because, first and foremost, we don't produce regularly enough. It's not like, next month we're expected to have issue 2. It's understood, ideally speaking, that our resources and finances for production are limited. So, it might be a little while before issue 2 is underway or even available for people to read. So if you don't really maximize the interest by ending at a place where somebody's just like, I need it, I gotta have it, do you got any more of those issues? Then that's really a misstep for you as a creative. So I would definitely say that for me, ending an issue 1, particularly if I know it's a ongoing title or a limited series or something like that, I want to end on a place of high intrigue. If it's not high intrigue, it's a misstep, swing and a miss, and that's definitely not where you want it to land. So yeah, I would definitely say that that's the key. Establish something, whether that's the world, characters, what have you, but then end on a point of maximum intrigue. I do recall, this is, okay, I'm going to age myself. Do you guys remember the series Battle Chasers? Joe Madureira did it. He was part of Homage Studios way back whenever. Cliffhanger Studios is what it became. His issue 1 was dope, right? It established a ton of characters, and we saw different. I mean, it's very D&D like in the character types that were there, but it ends on this note where you see these gauntlet gloves floating, and it's this amazing moment where you're like, oh my god, what is this even gonna mean? And that's perfect. I mean, we establish a group of very different characters that don't even know each other. We see some villains for them to face off against, and then we get this moment of intrigue at the very end where you already know we were super interested in what came next. And secret sauce for indie creators: if you have started work on issue 2, have the cover of issue 2 at the back of issue 1. Show people that this is not just a one-off, that you definitely have plans to continue, and hint at it. If I'm not mistaken, the cover to issue 2 was a bust shot of Red Monica. And you're talking, Joe Mad's art was already phenomenal, but for a book that is aimed at, teeny minds, and I mean teenagerly minds, that might be interested in a very specific thing at that point in their lives, this was one of the best provocative covers of all time. Would it have flown? Would it fly now? Probably not. Probably not. There would be somebody that would be like, "This is wrong. You can't do this." It's very suggestive. That's not even the word for it. It was literal. It wasn't suggestive. It was literal. But it was enough that you were intrigued. You wanted to see what this even was. And big shout out to Joe Mad for approaching this character, not in a damsel in distress way, but really kind of this cutthroat pirate queen, if you will. But yeah, I think that's a really good way to look at what issue 1 should do from an indie side. Establish world or characters, and end on a note that guarantees people want to know what happens in the very next issue. I will throw in that I think issue 2s are almost more important, because issue 1s are easy because everyone's going to jump at issue 1. It's brand new. They have no reason not to. Issue 2 is where the work really begins, because that's where you have to prove that this story is worth anyone else's time, and that's your real challenge. So I throw that out there to anybody. If you want to write a dope number 1, that's how you do it, but number 2 is where the work begins. So definitely like that. What's a good list of comic book YouTube channels and podcasts? Ooh, that's a good one. Obviously, Black, White, and Red All Over is the best. ComicTown.tv on YouTube. It's where myself and Ryan Seymour, one of the co-owners of ComicTown, review books every week, spoiler free. It's absolutely amazing. But I also got to give a shout out to Comics Explained. Rob Jefferson is a dope content creator. I love the way that he talks about things, and he's even gone into some of his personal life stuff for a different channel. It's associated, but it's different, where he's just talking about his own struggles of being, which is really sweet and authentic. Definitely join the Rob Core because it's worthwhile. It's amazing, and he's dope. I definitely like New Rock Stars. Eric Voss is hilarious. I love watching his stuff, and the breakdowns of stories and things like that have been pretty dope. I used to watch Variant a lot. I don't watch it as much anymore. Not, anything's wrong with it. But I don't watch it as much as I used to. In terms of other ones, let's see. James Roca, he's got a show. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head right now. I just really started watching it, no joke. But he's interviewing amazing people all the time, and it's fantastic. Podcast wise, I did mention the Comics Pals. Definitely check that out. Also check out the Word Bros podcast. Kevin Kuth and Bob Friends. They actually just won a Ringo for their book Metal Shark Bro, which is hilarious and amazing. Their insights into comics is fantastic. Definitely check them out. Definitely check out the Comic Slate. My friend Chris, he runs that podcast, and it's epic and amazing. And also I'll do a quick one for Word Balloons podcast. John Suntress is a G. He's a legend in the game when it comes to interviewing people, and been talking about all kinds of amazing things when it comes to creating. No, not Dingo, Ringo Awards. They are super sweet. And thank you, Sean. So Comics Pals is on YouTube as well. So definitely check them out. But no, the Ringo Awards, named for Mike Wieringo, who unfortunately passed away way too soon. But it's an award series that's given away at Baltimore Comic-Con, which was just a couple weeks ago. So super dope. You know, they're super dope creators. I love them, and they're amazing guys just in general. So lots of cool stuff. But if you want, I will definitely type those up and make some recommendations, and let everybody follow those things, because, you know, it's important for everybody to know what's the cool stuff that's out there. You know, everyone's got to, you know, try some stuff out. I also want to give us some love to Bitnapple TV. They actually operate on Instagram, so look them up, because I know they have a YouTube channel as well. But they're dope. They interview creators and whatnot, and they do a great job as well. So just a couple of places that you can, you know, look at some cool things, talk to some, or hear them talk to cool people, and yeah, it's super sweet. So I think that will about wrap it up. But we had 4 questions. You know what? I'm sending bundles to everybody. Make sure you DM me that you did ask a question. In fact, put your question in your DM so I can, you know, again, reiterate and possibly re-answer in text, so that way you can keep that forever if you need to. I'm probably going to try to take this video and put it on my YouTube as well. So if you need a reference point, you can come back to that. But I thank you guys for tuning in. It's about lunchtime, so I'm about to go get me some grub. Big thanks to you once again. Big shout out to Boxland Media. If you guys get a chance, check them out on Facebook. And if you're local, come visit, because they've got some amazing stuff. You can shoot all kinds of amazing things here. They do podcasts here. You can shoot commercials, all kinds of crazy stuff. Ask for Ben, tell him Victor sent you, and love, peace, and chicken grease. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.